Okay. Trying to make some adjustment. Welcome to it. It's on Wednesday afternoon. Welcome to the program, The King's Local Daily, right there on King's Double 8.5 and streaming live on our Cloud TV and our YouTube channel. This is where we converge to talk, give some of the big stories that are making news from the various local delays from the newsstands. So be our guest. Be our guest straight up until later as we flip through the various local daily together and give you some of the big stories that are making news. My name is Otis, the Mojmo Sank, and I'm alongside
Shannon Pesima.
And together we are flipping through the various local daily to give you some of the big stories that are making news. But let's take a gist of the theme song. When we return, we start to flip through and giving you some of the big stories that are making news from the various local daily. Welcome back to your program, The King's Local Daily, right there on King's Double 8.5 and streaming live on our Cloud TV and our YouTube channel. And today we are here again, and it's been a while I haven't been on the program, but I'm back. And don't forget now, the King support basket is ongoing, and the numbers are attached to the screen for those of you watching us live. And it is meant to support independent media and journalism in Liberia and give you all of the best as it relates to the information that you need. Yeah, so we are right here on the front street between Front Rwanda Street, as a matter of fact, and you can walk here also and make your own contribution to the King's support basket. So, having said that, let's start to flip through quickly on the program, give you some of the big stories that are making news. Our very first stop today is Jenna. We'll start with you.
Okay. The Enquirer newspaper, volume 35, number 114, and it goes for 40 Liberian dollars. You could grab yourself a copy. The lead story on the front page of the Enquirer newspaper says, turn shared suffering into national strength, boycott urges Liberians. Still on the front page of the Enquirer newspaper, it says, step aside into other sabotage trial. Government lawyers urge outgoing Chief Justice. Still on the front page of the Enquirer newspaper, that goes for 40 Liberian dollars. It says, I'm ready for investigation. LTA suspended boss. quickly to the back page of the Enquirer newspaper. It says, Harport Seaport Director backs Atominon Cities Opportunities Hardens. Still on the back page of the Enquirer newspaper, that goes for 40 Liberian dollars. It says, Liberia unveils 2025 UNFPA reports on fertility crisis today. Quickly to the editorial, if there is any. Okay, the editorial of the Enquirer newspaper, that goes for 40 Liberian dollars. You could grab yourself a copy. It says, only genuine reconciliation sustains a national healing. President Joseph Boakai. That does it for the Enquirer newspaper.
So we're not doing genuine reconciliation. The Daily Observer is our next up. Volume 25, number 114, sold for 40 Liberian dollars. Grab yourself a copy. Front page, major stories. Boakai, April 22nd, victims' family memorialized slain leaders. Not simply a ceremonial gesture, it is a moment to restore dignity, to acknowledge historical wrongs, President Boakai says. Boakai taps Gbese for Chief Justice. The front page of the Daily Observer. APM Terminal MD commits to stronger partnership with Dock Worker Union as both parties officially launch an open CBA negotiation. Gonet academic debunk allegation emphasizes commitment to compliance. Says its operation are legit, reaffirm commitment to regulatory compliance. The back page quickly of the Daily Observer is all about business. So let's see if we can get to the editorial of the Daily Observer. Is there's any for this morning? The editorial. So there's no editorial. That's how we do it.
The Liberian Investigator newspaper, that goes for 50 Liberian dollars, volume 1, number 075. The lead story on the front page of the Liberian Investigator newspaper says, getting to the bottom of Cletu's death. What bottom? Grab yourself a copy. It is 50 Liberian dollars. Quickly to the back page of the Liberian Investigator newspaper is all about sports. And LAF President Mulba Zaza questions county meets national identity over exclusion of athletics. Paris FC promotes as Grand Judah Jones second division. Quickly to the editorial of the Liberian Investigator newspaper, that goes for 50 Liberian dollars. And the editorial says, one man, too many hearts, a recipe for abuse at the NIR. That does it for the Investigator newspaper.
From the Investigator, the New Republic is up next. The New Republic, Light for All, volume 15, number 148, sold for 50 Liberian dollars. Front page, major stories. Nimba laugh again. Nimba laugh again. Another son goes to Supreme Court as Chief Justice. The photograph of Justice Gbese, the newly nominated Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia, alongside the former Chief Justice Francis Kapor. All right, here on the front page of the New Republic newspaper. Western Cluster Liberia begins major corps in identification exercise. Sister young Liberians recruited in ArcelorMittal training academic. Let's flip to the back page of the New Republic newspaper. Yaka goes for We Are 2029 after slamming Boakai. Anti-corruption fight must be feared beyond politics. Political sounds welcome prosecution of ex-officials. Monrovia faces deluge. Sarah's home submerged. Resident made homeless. Wow. Representative Cole disrupt bridge dedication ceremony. For what I don't know, you can grab yourself a copy of the New Republic newspaper and get that in detail. Let's get to the editorial of the New Republic newspaper quickly. It reads, "Those we bury in national fulfillment, not political triumphs." That's the editorial of the New Republic newspaper. Up next,
The Heritage newspaper, volume 28, number 35,747, and it goes for 40 Liberian dollars. The lead story on the Heritage newspaper says, not witch hunting, but enhancing operational effectiveness. LAA discloses staff retirement and reconstructing plan. Still on the front page of the Heritage newspaper, it says, I'm ready for any prop. Kamara calls LACC MOJ, that's the Ministry of Justice, over GSC report. Still on the front page, it said, Chief Justice, you're asked to step aside. Government lawyer requests inquest others corruption case. Quickly to the back page of the Heritage newspaper, that goes for 40 Liberian dollars, and it says President Bouaka honors late President Tolbert in historic memorial. Still on the back page, it says disgraced Nima cultural officer jailed over journalist at kidnapping. Still on the back page, it says permit for sale. Labor minister is explosive. Work permit scandals. Still on the back page, it says we are making progress for no room for complacency. Quickly to the editorial of the Heritage newspaper, if there is any, and it says President Bouaka's charts bold course for West Africa's future. That does it for Heritage newspaper.
from the authoritative Heritage newspaper, the hot pepper is up next. Volume 10, number 11654. It's up for 40 Liberian dollars. You can grab yourself a copy. Front page, major stories. Threat to judiciary independence. Threat to judiciary independence. Stand to scrap Justice Basic appointment as Chief Justice. Stand Executive Director Moba Malou, along with Yami Bisi and President Joseph Yuma Bouaka, all right here on the front page of the Hot Pepper newspaper. Justice delayed is not justice denied, as President Bouaka appoints acting head at LTA. Kamara wants speeded investigation by LACC and MOJ. The back page of the Hot Pepper quickly. Leadership is a behavior, not a title. Leadership is a behavior, not a title. AML, that's ArcelorMittal Liberia, Seman share insight during Learning Week. LNBA welcomes Associate Justice Basic nomination as Chief Justice. The Liberian National Bar Association President is Ray Bonanvama on the back page of the Hot Pepper newspaper. Liberia dedicates landmark dormitory at Regional Maritime University. Let's get to the editorial of the Hot Pepper. The editorial of the Hot Pepper newspaper reads, welcoming the ArcelorMittal clarification. Welcoming the ArcelorMittal clarification is the editorial of the Hot Pepper.
The Verity newspaper, that goes for 40 Liberian dollars, volume 2, number 44. The lead story says cement prices to rise. Leaked document reveals. Still on the front page of the Verity newspaper, it says he killed my sister. Doctors confirmed internal bleeding. Quickly to the back page of the Verity newspaper, that goes for 40 Liberian dollars. It says House slaps AML with contempt. Still on the back page, it said 8 arrested for alleged murder. Still on the back page of the Verity newspaper, fisherman kills over earpiece dispute. Prosecutors want CJ Yacht rescued. Quickly to the editorial of the Verity newspaper, if there is any. Okay, there is none. That does it for Heritage.
From the Verity newspaper, our next stop is the News. Nation's news since 1989. Volume 36, number 50. $40 just for a copy. Front page, major stories. High profile economic sabotage trial postponed. For what? I don't know. Ex-Finance Minister Samuel D. Twice right here, alongside Chief Justice Shannon. Bouaka wants forces of division rejected. I'm ready for investigation. Suspended LTA bus rides LACC. Abdullah El Kamara. He's the suspended LTA director. The back page quickly of the nation's news since 1989. Aslamita, Liberia summoned on a contempt order to appear before House with its legal team. Okay. Still on the back page. Hotspurs, University of Liberia budget request. Representative Rajit Barry, she's representative of Maserati County District 1. She's right here on the back page of the newspaper. Still on the back page. World Population Reports 2025 launched today. AfriLink strategic partnership becomes law. Post-safety Maritime Security Conference kicks off in Monrovia. There gets you the editorial of the newspaper. The editorial reads, transparency needed in Rice Saga Probe. Transparency needed in Rice Saga Probe. That's the editorial.
The Women Voices, a newspaper that goes for $40 Liberian, volume 14, number 43. The lead story on the front page says, PCC finds town bakery for filthiness. Wow, this is horrible. Still on the front page of the Women Voices newspaper that goes for $40 Liberian, it says Liberia memorializes Tolbert's legacy with memorial events, museum, and dedication. Quickly to the back page of the Women Voices newspaper that goes for $40 Liberian. It says Rep. Berry proposes US $45 million budget for UL. Still on the back page of the Women Voices newspaper says 62 years old man sentenced to 10 years. What for? Grab yourself a copy. Still on the back page it says prosecutors demand Chief Justice rescue role from twerkies. Still on the back page of the Women Voices newspaper, it says, House Committee summon Asala Mitar honor contempt. Still on the back page, it said, LNB embraces Justice Gracie's nomination. Quickly to the editorial of the Women Voices newspaper that goes for $40 Liberian. It says, Liberia's path to healing through memory and truth. That does it for the Women Voices newspaper, Otis.
From the Women Voices newspaper with Janet Pesima, our next and final stop, as a matter of fact, is the front page. The front page African newspaper, volume 18, number 124. Front page, major stories. Commitment to truth, justice, and reconciliation. President Boakat rallies nation for genuine reconciliation during memorial of slain President Torba and victims of the 1980 coup. Airport honor scrutiny. Runway breach at RIS Park concern. Management denies incident as show public of safety. Unacceptable. Unacceptable, a total violation. Journalist Alex Yomin allegedly abducted, torture on order of Nima County Cultural Coordinator. Escaping responsibility. Lawmakers express concern over how Speaker Kuhn continues absent from section. Protest again, your gavel. Supreme Court call a hot 12 prohibition case over unforeseen circumstances as state challenges Chief Justice eligibility. I flip quickly to the back page of the front page African newspaper. Is all about sports. It says Liberia to host first RFBBA approved bodybuilding seminar this week. Okay. Let's see if we can get you the editorial quickly before we go home onto this edition of the program. The editorial of the Front Page Africa newspaper reads: Internal feud at LACRA and the suspension of Director Sangolo, how power struggle and political ties led to his suspension. Okay. From the Front Page Africa newspaper, this is how we like to draw the curtains on the Wednesday edition of the program, The King's Look at Dilly. But before we take a leave of you, I read some of the comments that have been filtering through, like we always do, yeah. Yeah, it's a good afternoon, watching from Tupelo. That's Peter Tupa. And Gated Harris got to say I'm watching live from Virtual Media Incorporated office in Docomede. Thanks so much, Gate Harris Gate. On that note, this is how I like to draw the curtains on today's edition of the program. My name is Otis, the most Sankara Benaran, alongside
Jenna Pesima.
Okay. We'll catch you guys well in tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Tomorrow, right?
Yeah, tomorrow.